Tony Abbott has spoken about Labor bringing back a carbon tax. Will you be doing that?
Everyone knows that Tony Abbott wants to go back to what he perceives as his glory days, the 2013 election. But the Labor Party's moved on from there, and Tony Abbott's very frustrated by that. My colleague Chris Bowen yesterday made it clear that a mining tax is not on our agenda. We are not going to go and reintroduce the carbon tax that Tony Abbott wants to have a false argument about. We're simply not going to do that. But when it comes to tackling climate change, unlike Tony Abbott, we're not climate change sceptics. We think it's real. And we think that we do need to work hard to restrict the growth of our emissions and lower our emissions from carbon over time. What we're interested in is the future. We're interested in what works. We are not going to be a political party who wants to stick their head in the sand and pretend that climate change is not real, like large parts of Tony Abbott's party. What Australians want is they want a plan for the future. We are articulating a plan for the smart jobs of the future so our kids get ahead. We have and will continue to articulate propositions around tackling climate change in the most effective way possible. But what we're not going to do is let Tony Abbott reduce everything to dumb it down to three-word slogans. Australians want more from their politics than that. So when Tony Abbott just wants to say this or that, he's simply lying about what Labor's going to do. We've made it clear what we're going to do and what we're not going to do, and we'll continue to roll out our policies before the next election.
But does that include a price on carbon? Would that be part of your election platform?
We all know that under Tony Abbott's direct action policies, your taxes, the taxes you pay, I hate to break it to you, are paying a price for carbon right now. So when Tony Abbott says that somehow he's not doing a price on carbon, what do you think the hundreds of millions of dollars, the billions of dollars he's spending the big polluters not to pollute? Where do you think that's coming from? That's coming from the taxpayers. There is a price on carbon. The joke is in. Tony Abbott would like to pretend there isn't. If Tony Abbott is paying our taxes to large polluters, to encourage them not to pollute as much carbon into the atmosphere as they've been doing, that means you're paying a price on carbon. But what we've made very clear is we won't go back to the high fixed price system. We will not do that. And we've made it clear also on his other scare campaigns, because at the end of the day, that's all Tony Abbott offers Australians: fear. He wants Australians afraid of the future. He wants Australians to think that it's all too hard the rest of the world. Well, the Labor Party's different to that. We're going to stand up for the jobs of the future. We're going to take real action on climate change. And if you want to talk about damage done to the mining industry, has anyone heard of Tony Abbott's iron ore inquiry today? Last Friday, he's having a pally chat with Alan Jones, and I think Alan Jones was asking about the iron ore inquiry or matters to that effect, and there's Tony Abbott. The Prime Minister of Australia says last Friday, oh yes, I think an iron ore inquiry, it's a great idea, great idea. That's what he was saying. Now today, he's in complete retreat on that, because it's a dumb idea, Tony Abbott. The idea that he can, try and pick favourites in the iron ore industry in Australia, damage our international reputation. Tony Abbott only ever thinks about the next sentence, the next grab, the next opinion poll, and he's certainly not thinking about the future of Australian jobs.
So just to clarify, Labor would consider a floating price on carbon, some sort of market-based mechanism?
Labor is a party who believes in markets. But just to clarify, if you want to do something about climate change, you'd vote Labor at the next election. You certainly wouldn't trust this current mob. They don't even believe in it. At least large parts of the Liberal Party don't even believe in it. And in the meantime, they're paying your taxes to big polluters. That's a price on carbon.
You said you committed there'd be no mining tax mandate sought at the next election. Can you just clarify the position on a carbon tax as well?
Well, I'll deal with the second part first. We continue to believe, firstly, that climate change is real. Secondly, that it's caused by humankind. And thirdly, the best way of dealing with it is a price on carbon. We continue to believe that, and that will be reflected in our detailed policy that we announce.